Today, we discuss the role of Zdeno Chara on this team in answer to a listener email. We also preview both of this weekend's games against Carolina and St. Louis. And an Islander Hall of Famer who we recently lost is our Islanders' birthday of the day. All that and more coming up on the weekend edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Gil Martin, so glad to be with you. Thank you for being part of the Locked On Islanders family and for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. That does now include YouTube. So if you want to watch instead of just listen, look us up and subscribe there. If there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, a topic you'd like us to talk about on the show, and we're going to talk about something that a listener asked about today, feel free to send us an email. The email address is lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we are happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles. And you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. I'll give you some instant insight and analysis, and it's always great to interact with fans, game time or anytime. So please feel free to contact me via Twitter, and let's talk some Islanders hockey. So we're going to get right to our email question. Ken from Minnesota writes, Gil, watching the last few games, and I've noticed multiple times Zdeno Chara speaking pointedly and passionately to Noah Dobson on the bench, obviously teaching the young D-man, which brings me to your desire to see as many of the young guys as possible with the big team. What a lost opportunity it would be not to have Chara tutoring the future defense core of this team on and off the ice. Chara's former Boston teammates still talk about how influential he was to their growth. Keep up the good work. Let's go Isles. Ken in Minnesota. Ken, first of all, thank you as always for the question. Greatly appreciate it. And look, you make a good point with regard to Zdeno Chara. And yeah, I do want the kids to get a chance. But not at the expense of Zdeno Chara not playing at all. To me, if Zdeno Chara, Andy Green, and I'm just going to say Robin Salo for now, if each of them plays 2 out of every 3 games, they rotate where one of them sits out every third game, I think that would be a workable solution. And again, that assumes no additional injuries to the blue line core. Look, you're right about this. Zdeno Chara is someone who has value because of the way he teaches the younger players. He did it in Boston and certainly is doing it this year. And I think the growth that we've seen from Noah Dobson this year is in part not because of Zdeno Chara, but it's been accelerated because of Zdeno Chara. And Ken, you spoke about Chara passionately speaking to and giving advice to Dobson on the bench. And yeah, that's part of it. But it's also watching how a guy like Zdeno Chara goes about his business day to day, when he shows up for practice, how he handles himself in practice, how he communicates with his teammates, how he moves the puck out of his own zone. All of those little things that you're going to see from a guy like Zdeno Chara help guys like Robin Salo, Noah Dobson, Grant Hutton, any of the other younger players who may or may not come in and out of this lineup over the rest of the season, all of them can learn a lot from Zdeno Chara. And look, the resume is there for all to see. He's been a captain. He's a 7-time All-Star, a Norris Trophy winner, a Stanley Cup winner. He's won the Marc Messier Leadership Award, 24 NHL seasons for Zdeno Chara, 1,668 regular season games and counting. My biggest problem with Zdeno Chara is that his skill set is so very different from Nick Leddy's. And it's really not a knock on Chara. Look, he had 2 goals last year in 55 games, hasn't scored yet this year in 60. I'm not worried about that. Any offense I get from Big Z at this point is a bonus. Is Zdeno Chara still the Norris Trophy winning kind of an all-star player that he was in his prime? No. But he is still a useful, valuable defenseman who can lead, who has experience, who is smart, who can teach younger players a lot, as you did indeed mention. But not replacing the skill set of a puck-moving defenseman like Nick Leddy bothers me. And not, having both Green and Chara out there day in and day out, to me, is a lost opportunity at this point in the season. Now, maybe you want to hang on a little more until the playoff chances are absolutely mathematically eliminated. But, we know what Zdeno Chara can do. And whether he decides to retire at the end of this season or to return, and whether the Islanders want to welcome him back, these are all things that we will discuss in the offseason. But, Ken, there is no question that you're right about the fact that Big Z has a positive influence on Dobson. He accelerated Dobson's development. And more, I think, the things that Dobson does when he doesn't have the puck, or when he has the puck in his own zone and is trying to figure out the best way to exit the zone, whether it's to skate it out, to chip it out, or to pass it out. And, Dobson is, as I've said before, the only true puck-moving defenseman in the top 6. I think he's learned a lot from being with Zdeno Chara. And that's not something that's going to show up on Zdeno Chara's stat line, but it is something that has been valuable to the Islanders. And Ken, I appreciate the email, and I very much agree to a large extent with the point you're trying to make with regard to Zdeno Chara. We have got a lot more to talk about on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. When we come back, we'll preview both this weekend's games in Carolina and St. Louis. We've got our Islanders birthday of the day and a whole lot more. Stay with us. More to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at Built Bar. Have you tried the Built Bar Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And like all Built Bars, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite, and it's easy to see why, with some incredible flavors like yummy, cinnamony, churro, coconut marshmallow, my personal favorite, banana cream pie. They're so good, these are going to be your new favorite. And look, most Built Bars contain just 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs, while packing 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Busy weekend ahead for the New York Islanders. And Friday night, tonight, Islanders going down to Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. It's a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. Hurricanes have lost 2 in a row heading into Thursday night's game against Buffalo, also at home. So the Islanders will be coming off 2 days off, and Carolina will be playing in back-to-back games. They've lost 2 in a row and 3 of their last 4. So here's a team that's, kind of struggling a little bit as of late. Still in first place, 2 points ahead of the Rangers entering the Thursday night game, and Carolina does have a game in hand. Defense is the name of the game for the Hurricane, and they are first in the league with the fewest goals allowed all season. You got a goaltending duo of Frederik Andersen and Antti Ranta that has been playing lights out, and Andersen, the 207 goals against average, a 926 save percentage, and goals for, they're a top 10 team, 9th in the league. So top 10 in goals for, number 1 in goals against. The penalty kill is first in the league, allowing only 12.1% success for opposing power plays. And the power play for the Carolina Hurricanes is 7th in the league at 23.8. That tells you, top to bottom, how good this team is. Their leading goal scorer right now, Sebastian Aho, not to be confused with the Islanders defenseman. Aho has 31 goals and 69 points, both leading the team in both of those categories. As far as assists goes, Teuvo Teravainen right now has 39, 1 more than Aho and 3 more than Tony DeAngelo. But Carolina is a dangerous team and a good team. Top line, Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, and Seth Jarvis. Vincent Trocheck is the second line center with Max Domi to his left and Teuvo Teravainen to his right. Jordan Stahl, the third line center, former Islander and Wild winger Nino Niederreiter to his left, Jesper Fast to the right. And then Derek Stepan centers Jordan Martinuk and Martin Necas as the fourth line. On defense, Jacob Slavin and Tony DeAngelo are the top pair. Brady Shea and Brett Pesce are the second pair, and Brendan Smith and Ian Cole are the third pair, while you have Antti Ranta and Frederik Andersen in goal. And look, check your box score. Whoever is playing in the game on Thursday probably will not be playing in the game against the Islanders on Friday. Injury-wise, Jake Gardner on IR. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is out. We'll check if he's able to come back for the Islander game. And then Ethan Bear listed as day-to-day. Look, one thing the Islanders have to do if they want to beat Carolina, number one, stay out of the penalty box. If they can get a power play goal, more power to them. But the other thing is, do not allow the power play of the Hurricanes to thrive. And look, Sebastian Aho, 13 goals. Svechnikov and Teravainen have 8 each. And Teravainen has 21 assists on the power play. DeAngelo has 16. So stay out of the box for one thing. And then please get some more shots on goal, whether it's Ranta or Andersen. You got to take shots on these guys. They're good goaltenders, and it's going to be a lot of work to get into those dirty areas and score goals. So that's the Friday matchup, Islanders and Hurricane. And then Saturday, the Islanders will be in St. Louis. That's an 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time start. The Blues will be playing on Friday, so both teams will be on a back-to-back. The difference, the Blues will be at home, so they don't have to travel while the Islanders are traveling from Carolina to St. Louis overnight. Now, the Blues, another tough opponent. They are in the midst of a fight for second place in the Central Division with the Minnesota Wild. The Wild coming into action as of Thursday night, 1 point ahead of St. Louis with a game in hand. So that's going down to the wire. And St. Louis, again, one of those teams that is top 10 in goals scored and goals against, fourth in the league in goals scored, 10th in the league in goals against, top 5 on special teams, third in the league on the power play, 26.1%, fifth in the league on the PK, 83.2%. Jordan Binnington and Ville Husso are both solid goalies. Binnington has struggled at times this year, and Husso has really picked it up. But again, we're looking at back-to-back games for the Blues, so whoever doesn't start on Friday will likely be the goalie on Saturday. Jordan Kyrou is their leading scorer with 63 points, but in goals, it's Vladimir Tarasenko, who, as we talked about on the podcast during the offseason, he supposedly wanted out of St. Louis, did not get traded, and now is leading the team in goals with 25. Pavel Buchnevich right behind him with 24. Kyrou with 23, as does David Perron. So a lot of balanced scoring right now. They have 7 players with 20 goals or more, but no one with more than 25. But balance is one of the keys for the Blues. Ryan O'Reilly is the top line center with Brandon Saad on left wing, David Perron on the right wing. Second line is centered by Robert Thomas with Buchnevich and Tarasenko flanking him. Braden Shen is the third line pivot with Ivan Barbashev to his left and Kyrou to his right. And then on the fourth line, it's Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, and Alexei Toropchenko. Boy, that's a mouthful. On defense, Marco Scandella and Colton Parayko are the top pairing. Justin Falk and Nick Leddy, the former Islander, since been traded from Detroit to St. Louis. So we'll get to see Nick Leddy. And then Callie Rosen and Robert Bortuzzo are the third pairing. They have Husso and Binnington in goal. Right now, Tyler Bozak and Scott Perunovich are on IR. Torrey Krug is listed as out right now, and Logan Brown is day-to-day. Look, these are 2 difficult opponents the Islanders are facing. If you can get 3 out of 4 points, that would be spectacular. And look, between you and me, anything less than that and the playoff hopes are all but dashed. We have a special Islanders birthday today, a Hall of Fame Islander who we recently lost. We will talk about that and a few more thoughts before we get you ready for the weekend. So all that and more coming up on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find out all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Look, baseball opening day has now come and gone, so the season is underway. NBA playoffs, NHL Stanley Cup playoffs just around the corner. Lots to bet on and lots to think about. So head on over to BetOnline where the game starts. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And we are a day late, but Thursday was or would have been the 68th birthday for former Islanders winger Clark Gillies. Gillies, born April 7th, 1954, passed away earlier this year at the very young age of 67. Jethro, as he was nicknamed, the 4th overall selection in the 1974 amateur draft. Bill Torrey picking the 6'3", 210-pound native of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, which Gillies was only too happy to remind people was located 6 feet away from the Moose's behind. Scored 25 goals as a rookie and stayed with the Islanders from 1974-75 all the way through the 85-86 season. Finished up his career with 2 years playing for the Buffalo Sabres. A part and an important part of all 4 Islanders Stanley Cup winning teams. 958 career goals, games, 319 goals, 697 points, and 1,023 penalty minutes. You know, Clark Gillies, physical, capable of scoring. I mean, a number of 30-goal seasons, including a career high 38 in 81-82. Never had 100 penalty minutes in a season. Tough as nails. One of the better fighters in the NHL. Didn't like to fight and didn't fight often, mostly because most people were too smart to drop the gloves. They were afraid of the guy. Off the ice, Clark Gillies, very nice man. Interviewed him several times and spoke to him. Always generous with the fans and had a smile on his face. A good guy. And I'll tell you, he is definitely missed. Part of the Trio Grand line with Brian Trottier centering, Gillies on the left wing, and Mike Bossy, who, as we all know, is battling lung cancer right now and not well, on the right. One of the greatest lines of all time in the NHL, and without question, in my mind, the greatest line in the history of the New York Islanders. We're going to go back and look at a great game for Clark Gillies. February 27th, 1979, at the Coliseum, the defending Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens come in. Ken Dryden, the Hall of Famer, in goal against Hall of Famer Billy Smith. So many Hall of Fame players on both rosters in this game. The first goal of the game scored by a Hall of Famer, Larry Robinson of Montreal. His 16th from 2 more Hall of Famers, Guy Lafleur and Jacques Lemaire at 14-10. Islanders trailing 1-0. But the Islanders get a power play chance when Robinson takes a holding penalty, and Stefan Pearson scores his 7th, assist to Hall of Famer Dennis Potvin and Hall of Famer Brian Trottier. 1-1 after 1 period. In the second, Mario Tremblay heads off for high sticking. The Islanders get another power play, and right off the faceoff, 4 seconds into the power play, Dennis Potvin is 22nd from Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier at 125. Islanders up by a 2-1 margin. Then our Islanders' birthday of the day, Clark Gillies, his 28th from Mike Bossy at 5:33, 3-1 Islanders. The Canadiens get to within a goal late in the period. Mario Tremblay is 24th from Guy Lapointe and Yvon Lambert at 17:57. That made it 3-2, but with 48 seconds left in the period, Bob Nystrom, his 14th from Stefan Pearson, 4-2 Islanders after 40 minutes of action. In the third, Clark Gillies extends the Islanders' lead, his 29th, Trottier and Bossy with the helpers at 7:45. Then Billy Harris, his 11th from Dennis Potvin at 13:53. And at 18:41, Clark Gillies completes the hat trick and reaches the 30-goal plateau for the season. Mike Bossy and Jerry Hart with the assist. Bob Gainey scores late for Montreal. Ray-Jean Houle and Doug Jarvis with the assist. But the Islanders crush the Canadiens by a score of 7-3. 38 saves by Billy Smith. Islanders outshot in this one 41-35. For our Islanders' birthday of the day, Clark Gillies, 3 goals on 4 shots. He was a +3, all of them coming at even strength. Mike Bossy did not score in this game, 4 assists. Brian Trottier, 3 assists. Dennis Potvin, a goal and 2 assists as the Islanders beat the Canadiens. And this was the Canadiens had won 3 straight cups and were on their way to their 4th this season. The Islanders, meanwhile, ended up with the best record in hockey that year and were 1 year away from 4 straight Stanley Cups. So Clark Gillies would have turned 68 years old yesterday. You are missed. You will always be an important part of the fabric of the Islanders organization. And happy birthday in heaven, one day late, to Hall of Famer Clark Gillies. Weekend, 2 games coming up for the Islanders. Need them both. Got to see better play fundamentally. You know what? I look back at the game against Dallas. Islanders need to be smarter in their own zone, and their exit from their own zone is a key problem that this team has to improve. And whether it's Dobson or Hutton or Pelican Pulak or Andy Green or Big Z, they have got to make sure that they get out of their own zone and start that process of transitioning from defense to offense smoothly. And if they do that, they can stay with both of these teams. It won't be easy. 2 quality opponents this weekend, but hopefully the Islanders can get the job done on the road. That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We will be back Monday with our key takeaways from both of these games, and we will preview also our next game coming up next week. So we'll have that. Lots to go on as the season winds down, and hopefully the Islanders will be able to win some of these games this weekend. Look, I don't think the Islanders have the full comeback in them, but I think they can make it interesting. And every day they keep it up and keep it interesting, that's one more day that it's more fun to watch this team play. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Host Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, enjoy, and of course, let's go Islanders.